All right. Okay. So I was a little bit busy adding people to the main session. Okay. So welcome to the last plenary session of the day by our keynote speaker, Alfieri Avilan. We are already live on YouTube as well. For those who cannot make it to the Zoom session. Okay. Down a little bit. Okay. So let me tell you who Alfieri Avilan is. Hold on a second. Okay, there we go. So Alfieri Avilan is a certified master trainer. He's also a certified master trainer in dialogue-based selling and negotiation. There. He was a middle and high school English teacher, and he is also a teacher of English as a foreign language and marketing specialist. He holds certifications in digital competencies. He has been an academic consultant for over 15 years and currently holds the learning services coordination position for Guatemala and Venezuela. His expertise varies in fields such as consultancy, sales, effective communication, interpersonal and institutional relations, team building and management skills, planning, budgeting, organizational skills, goal setting and follow-up, group training and facilitation, and speaking in public. So without further ado, I'm going to give the floor to Mr. Alfieri Avilan. Off you go.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So happy, so glad to be here, giving a little bit our contribution to this great event. So it's been quite some time since we participated in an event in Venezuela, so we're very excited to be back on business. And there are certain things I'd like to talk about, and as the motto, the theme of the conference says, unlearn, learn, and relearn. We've been doing that for quite some time now in Pearson, and there are certain things that we have been conducting, some research that we have been developing over the past 10 years or so, a little bit more. And these are things that have been aiming always towards the current future. And because of the current situation and the abrupt break of the future that was pushed by the pandemics last year, things changed, and things changed to stay. So the changes, we've been perhaps forecasting these events, not the pandemic, of course, no one knew about it, but we started thinking about how things were to change in this century. And most of the things that we are currently doing aim towards those changes, towards developing tools and developing information necessary for teachers all over the world in order to tackle efficiently this new era of teaching. So, and how did we start? We started looking at some data and things were surprising. English, of course, does not escape the changes around the globe. And English has been changing for the past 20 years in the sense of the purpose of using English all over the world. Now, if you see the data on the screen, you will see that, for example, 85% of the world population speaks English as the official language. That means English has become a lingua franca, and everyone all over the world, regardless of the cultural background, communicates in English. Also, everybody knows, and it's a clear fact that English has become the preferred language for business. So millions and billions of dollars move around the globe. And behind this huge finance movement, there is English. So you can see, my apologies, you can see that lots of businesses are conducted in English all over the world. Then we can see now that the amount of people that communicate or learn English for communication has increased by the year 2020 by 2 billion. It's a huge amount. The barrier that we used to know between British and American English has been or faded away very rapidly throughout these last 10 years. And English is now or is owned by these 2 billion people. And incredibly, the other fact is that only a third of this amount are native speakers. So that means that the relevance of English around the world is held by people that are not even native speakers. Another interesting fact about the transformation of English or the relevance of English around the globe is that more than half of what we find in terms of content in the internet comes in English. It's amazing how much information we can find in English in the internet. Then another interesting fact, 85% of international organizations around the world use English for communication. So English has become the center of many things, many important changes and many important aspects of everyday life, say business, say diplomacy, say every single aspect of life is surrounded by English. So we noticed this and we started conducting different research. And one of the two, I'm going to present you with two of the most interesting research that we came up over the past 6 years. And it's the fact that we understood, at Pearson we understood that English was going everywhere. And the necessity to prepare people, to have people absolutely ready and with clear outcomes and with clear objectives in order to use English correctly in the appropriate scenario was a huge demand. So we started looking at English as the tool or skill for life that it is now. And we started developing some of this research. The first research we came across was understanding the necessity of teaching English for specific scenarios. One of these scenarios is the one that is around the globe a trendy topic, and it's employability. How employable are people? What kind of skills are needed for people to become more and more employable every day? So things are changing. Things are changing rapidly, and the changes have to do with your careers, the way you communicate, the languages you communicate with, your knowledge, your expertise. And incredibly, we can see nowadays that there is a huge amount of importance that is given to the development of certain specific skills, and not the hard skills, but the soft skills. And this is one of the topics that we came across, and we started digging deep in order to develop a great deal of resources. And one of these resources is this research that you can find for free on the internet, and it's called The Future of Skills. It reflects the results that we came across reflect the reality that we would find in the year 2030 in terms of what does it take for me to be employable? what do I need? Where do I have to go? What do I have to do? What do I have to develop in order to be one of those desirable prospects for great employment? So we came across these results and we created this website, which I'm going to show you in a minute. And in this research that was not only conducted by us, but we allied with the Oxford Martin School and Nesta, which are to create consultancy companies around the globe. We came up with this research, and you can explore the research and download it for free, and it's really useful material. And why do I come up with this? Because part of it, the education that we're receiving is not aligned to the necessities of the market, of the job market nowadays. You're going to see a few facts and a few statistics that reflect the reality, and it does not have to do anything with what the educational institutions are claiming to produce. Far from reality. Our institutions around the world are falling behind in the preparation for people that can comply not only with the hard skills, but the soft skills and the language, the correct language for the job market. So let's take a look at a bit of what this landscape looks like. And in here, you can use this information for your programs to start developing the correct curriculum, or aligning or changing or adapting the curriculum and using the necessary material and the necessary information to actually prepare students with the actual needs of the job market. So let's take a look at this very quickly. So let's choose the US, because it's obviously geographically closer to us, and our reality is much more like theirs. So I put up my name, the year of my birth, and then my job title. I'm an English teacher, right? So here, English language and literature teachers, post-secondary, and this, interestingly, this research tells you lots of interesting things. And the first thing you're going to find here is the percentage of the chances that you're going to have as an English teacher to get a job or to keep your job by the year 2030. Not only that, to be employable, to become desirable for employers, then you will have to take a look at these skills that you would need to develop by the year 2030. For example, I have to be better at learning strategies, instructing, active listening. And what does that mean? When I click here, it tells me exactly what I need to develop in terms of those skills. So this is a clear example of how we are looking ahead of what's happening with English. And this has got to do not only with soft skills, but English, and I'll show you that in a minute. English has become the glue that holds all these ideas together. I don't have the need to tell you, for example, that now, but last year, 2 million people were learning English. Imagine what's going to happen in 10 years from now, or by the time your preschool students graduate from high school. So things are going to be changing, and that's a fact, and that's what is going to happen. Things are going to be changing, but we have to adapt. What we have to do as English teachers is that we have to rethink our programs, our goals, and start developing more appropriate programs that use English for preparing people and preparing them correctly for the actual job market. And that's what we have to look at. So that would be the first research. My apologies. Then we came up, having this in mind, this was launched in the year 2018. And after that, we started thinking, okay, we have this information. What do we do with this information? How can we help the institutions? How can we help our learners? Well, we decided to embark ourselves on another research, and we came up with the employability framework. We started and we conducted a research among formal and informal research, both with educators, of course, with governments, employers, learners, and we came up with very interesting information. And this is where I was trying to make a point, and it's, take a look at these numbers. When you say, and when we interview employers, companies, enterprises, surprisingly, they claim that only 11% of employers thought that students that were coming out of colleges and universities were actually ready and well prepared for work. And on the other hand, 96% of educators that were interviewed claimed that they prepared students correctly and accurately for the job market. In the end, education helps the economy. So we need to think beyond the academic aspect of the education. We need to think that we are preparing people for future, for life. We have to prepare people for life, for long life learning, not only for university, or not only for going to high school, or not only to finish preschool and start elementary. We need to start thinking about the future. We need to start thinking beyond the walls of the educational institutions, because in the end, we're sending people out there to contribute with society, and that's a fact. Then we could see, for example, on this number, incredibly, and we think about, when we think about this era, we think about a digital era, and we think that, and perhaps we assume wrongly, that young people come up with, or come to this world with the digital chip. Not necessarily. If you see the reality in the job market, 76% of CEOs were concerned about the availability of digital skills in the workforce. And as you can imagine, this involves lots of young people. Young people are very accurate, very precise, and very skillful when it comes to digital for entertainment. But when it comes to digital for education, for work, or for other areas, we can see that the abilities or the skills they need are not exactly the same as they would for entertainment. So that's a concern in the job market. Then there is another important aspect, and this is something that has been out there for, I'd say, more than 15 years, and it's the fact that 21st century skills are necessary in every aspect of life, for education, for the work, even for interpersonal relationships. So 21st century skills, that the first framework was launched in the year 2002, when a group of educators, a group of companies, big companies around the globe, and including Pearson, sat down and said, okay, what's going to happen? What what will our people need to deal with the academics, to deal with society, to deal with life. So they came up with this 21st century skills framework. And it's something, it is a request nowadays for every single job you seek. You will find that employers request you to know, to be knowledgeable, to be certified in this 21st century skills, which I know now as soft skills, not to say English, of course. And we came up after this investigation, we actually launched the framework, which I'm going to show you in a minute. And this framework started to clarify what we need to do and what we need to improve in the educational system. As you can see, the most important part for us, for English teachers, is obviously English language is, as I said previously, is the glue that connects everything nowadays. And this is because of the previous scenario I discussed. Okay, so English has been provided with huge relevance around the globe. So we have to consider English for everything that we do. And we used to say that English would open windows and doors to people that would speak it. Well, this is a true, and it's a reality bigger than before, a stronger fact than before. English has become absolutely critical for people to move up in their careers, to advance in their studies, certifications everywhere, wherever you go, and you can ask your fellow countrymen that are part of us that are outside, if you try to qualify for a job in any other country, English is a requirement. It's not just an option, it is a requirement. So we decided to develop this framework and provide it to the educational institutions so they could see the future that lies ahead. So we divided the framework into four major categories. In two major categories. So in these two major categories, we have the productivity competencies, and then we have the transitional competencies. Nowadays, it's necessary to say this. Nowadays, big companies around the globe are more concerned with the fact that people that come to their companies to become employees deal or have training or have certifications in these transitional competencies rather than hard skills. Actually, Google is one of the companies that are paying more attention to people that have certifications in soft skills, and they are looking down upon having 2 or 3 degrees. I'm not saying it's not necessary. I'm not saying let's study or let's go to get the soft skills only and let's forget about college or university. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that it has become so important that companies around the globe are paying more attention to this rather than having pass grades or doctorates or master degrees. So let's take a look at each one of these groups of competences. And this is going to give you a hint on what we need to improve in our programs. So the first one is the core academic competences. Obviously, the first group is it has to do with our formal education that goes from K-12, goes from all the way from preschool to high school. It's everything we learn, all the information and everything we learn academically speaking from the moment we start preschool to the moment we reach out our um, high school and beyond. So this is the first fact, this the fact that we have to upgrade the academic competencies. We have to upgrade the core programs of the schools, the core programs of any educational institution, and upgrade them to up-to-date realities. Then we have the second group, which is the occupational competencies. These are the competencies that we develop in order to be better at our jobs. Say, calculating if you are an engineer, listening if you're a psychologist, or finances if you're a manager. Obviously, for English teacher, it would be teaching per se and English. So we have this second group that allows us to revise what we need to improve in terms of competences in the educational area in order to prepare students for reality. Then we have a third group, which is the personal social abilities. In this group, we have the so-called transferable skills. These are things that we learn not necessarily in a formal environment of education. And these are things that were put on the spot in the year 2002, when the first framework of 21st century skills appeared. And there is communication, teamwork, problem solving. There is self-management, technology literacy. And one of the most important things about this is that these are things that are overlooked, especially in educational system, because we concentrate on the hard skills, the academic competencies. But these are things that we need to start thinking about, including some of these skills in our curriculums. One of the things that you can see, for example, and I'm going to open brackets here and put on the commercial. These are things that we take into consideration when we develop our English teaching, our ELL series. We include in most of our series for learning English, we include this. It's part of the syllabus for every and each one of these books that we work with. So it's part of what we should do, not only from the publishing houses of the or companies like Pearson that are aimed towards education, but it should be part of the programs of every single institution that deals with education. And there is the last group, which is the career knowledge and transition skills. This is how we move from one spot to another, and we use those skills that we've learned in order to improve ourselves in the job market. So it's a way for us to learn to apply the skills in order to be more autonomous. My apologies again. It's a way for us to keep up with new information. It's a way for us to develop lifelong learning. One of the things that everybody agrees on, researchers, is that lifelong learning is key to succeeding in this new era. The fact that we finish a course, that we finish a career, the fact that we can finish, a degree, doesn't mean that we have to stop. We need to move always, upgrading our knowledge, not only the academic knowledge, but the application of such knowledge in everyday life. And that's a secret for successful transitional advances in life. So this is one of the most important, perhaps, skills that we need to include. And this comes alongside with the personal and social capabilities. When people learn to solve problems, when people learn to plan and organize, when people learn to manage time, then it's crucial for us. These abilities are crucial for us because we're going to be able to apply those not only in the educational system or the educational scenario, but we'll be able to apply this in our real life. And that's exactly what employers are looking for. So having this in mind, and even before we thought about conducting this research, we started looking at the importance, the relevance of English around the globe. And I'm telling you, this happened perhaps 2006, 2007. We started working with the development of or the improvement of the Common European Framework of Reference. Now, what I'm about to say is going to connect directly to what I've presented previously. We launched in the year 2015 the improvement of the global skill of English, of the Common European Framework of Reference, which is called the Global Skill of English. And what's the importance of this? What's the relevance of bringing and connecting the framework for teaching English with the employability framework and with the job market and with the necessity for preparing people better? Simply because the improvements were actually thought in terms of what do people need? What's the reason? What's the purpose for people to learn English? So we started from there. And let me tell you, it's been an incredible improvement in English teaching around the globe. Last year, there were 10 million learners that were positively impacted by the use of the global skill of English. There are thousands of institutions around the globe that have taken the global skill of English as the first or the main pillar for the English program, and results are amazing. So what is the global skill of English? Why the global skill of English? What happens with the CEFA? So let me start by giving you a few tips on the CEFA. Most of you know the CEFA. Lots of people know what the CEFA is. And we have adopted the CEFA in many countries and still is in use. And the global skill of English does not come to compete with the CEFA. On the contrary, it has come to improve it. Actually, we worked hand in hand with the Council of Europe, and it's been so great, this relationship, that for the improvement, for the upgrade of the CEFA that was conducted in the year 2018, they decided to use 50 of our own can-do statements and include those in this upgrade of the CEFA of the year 2018. So having said this, and making clear that the GSE does not compete with the CEFA, the GSE is here to improve the CEFA. So a few facts on the CEFA. CEFA was launched in the year 2001. And this investigation, as the acronym states, Common European Framework of Reference, European. It was created for European speakers. So the first issue is that we don't hold the same background. Even though we have a lot of inheritance from Europe, we don't have the actual or in that moment, we didn't have the same cultural background. That is the first fact. The second fact is that when the CEFA was created, the main purpose for measuring linguistic competencies was the speaking skill. And as you can see, only 65% of can-do statements were created between the range of the band A2 to the band B2 in order to measure speaking. So there is an imbalance in the framework. That was the first, or some of the situations that the investigation and the research with the Council of Europe showed. The other situation about the SAFA is the bands per se. If you see the bands, how long does it take to move from one band to another? Obviously, as long as you start moving up the band, then it takes more and more hours. But the least is 380 hours of instruction in order to move from one band to another, to complete one band. So, but what happens within the band itself? What happens when you're here, or when you're here, or when you're here? How do you measure, or how do you classify people within the band itself? You can be an A2, but on the lower segment of the band or the higher segment of the band. So it's confusing. It's for learners. It takes forever to move from one band to another. But ironically, then when you get to the highest peak of the band, then to jump from that band to the other band, it takes nothing. So there were certain flows, if you will, in this research. So we came up with a solution, and the solution was obviously the GSE. And the first thing is, the research used over 6,000 teachers across 50 countries all over the world. That gives the quality, and that provides the quality of global, not European-centric, but global. I was part of the investigation. I was part of those 6,000 teachers back in the year 2014 when we started researching and revising all the kind of statements that were created. And then we launched the GSE. Differences between the GSE and the Common European Framework of Reference. For the first time, it was numeric. It was based on numbers. It wasn't based on bands. Secondly, it's more granular because instead of, for example, measuring or waiting for completing 400 or 380 hours of instruction to complete the lower bands, you could be measured after 24 hours. That means 3 points in the scale. That gives more clarity, that gives more accurate results, that provides a clearer environment for learning. And not only that, I think that the most important breakthrough when we developed the GSA was the fact that we could create different frameworks. And here's where I link the previous information on employability and the job market with this. And obviously the title of the presentation, the right framework for the right purpose. Not everyone is learning English for general communication. Some people are learning English for academic purposes. Some other people are learning English for professional purposes. So why not give these people a program that is based on an international certified, verified framework that allows them to develop the communicative skills necessary for them to achieve their purposes, their goals. The other breakthrough in the year 2015 was, for the first time, we launched a framework for elementary students. And we started and we opened the gap from creating this framework all the way from the 6th year of age to the 14th year of age. If you see the new research launched in the 2018 by the SAFA, they start measuring from the 7th to the 14th year. So this gives people, this gives institutions, this gives programs, the actual and the necessary framework with the real purpose, with all the advantages that are within the global scale of English, in order to actually teach and prepare people for the actual job market. And there is much more. We've done a lot more. Let me show you what else we've done. And this is something that you can find for free on the internet. So, for example, here is the framework this is the assessment framework for young learners. It's a sort of rubric that allows you to work your formative assessment throughout the entire band in or measuring progress on the productive skills. The same happens for adults. We have it for adults. We have the framework of grammar for adults. We have the GSE framework for general English for adults. We have the academic. So we have for each purpose, we have a framework that you can use and start developing your programs based on actual and real necessities for people. You don't have to teach general English to everyone. So if you're thinking, and this is something that is happening, for example, in the Central America region, more and more institutions are thinking about developing alternate programs. How does that work? Well, I have my general program, my general English program, and then I have, and I'm talking about the case of Guatemala, which is the country I lead. Here, when you reach the last year of high school, there is another year that you have to complete. And this is a specialized year. So you have accountants, you have teachers, you have certain so-called careers. So if you take on one of these frameworks, you develop the framework for English specific for those careers, for professional or for the academics. So you can actually work on this, or more interestingly, you can work on, if you get to the website, let me move this here. If you go to the website of the Global Scale of English, which I'm very glad to present to you, and allow me to put it on the chat. Here, this goes to everyone. My invitation to you is to browse through the website of the Global Scale of English and you can validate the veracity of this scale, which is being used now by more than 10 million people. You can take a look at the case studies, and there are lots of videos where people are talking about how beneficial has been to use the Global Scale of English. You can see the teacher toolkit. You can download these frameworks for free here on the Learning Objectives link. You can take a look at the homepage or see how people use the Global Scale of English around the globe. And here you can take a look at every single investigation that we used in order to develop the Global Scale of English. This is not something that we did because we wanted to, or because it was our, I don't know, the muse came to us and we decided to do it. This is a very important, very serious, and very robust investigation. We used information from every single aspect of language learning. We have, for example, technical reports of using the Eiken, which is the Japanese version of the TOEFL, and it was used at the time by more than 10 million students. So the validity of the exam, you can imagine. The process of developing the learning objectives of the GSE aligned to the CEFA, aligning the alignment of the GSE learning objectives with other scales, the Matura alignment. The Matura is one of the most used exams in Europe after a student or before students graduate. So we use the big guns, if you will. Then we develop the GSE Teacher Toolkit, which is a tool that is free to use, and you can develop your own programs. You can personalize your programs by using this incredible tool. It's something to be used like this. If you know, or if you have the idea of the profile you want your students, for example, your elementary students to achieve by the end of the 6th grade, and you choose, okay, I want young learners, then you choose the skills. Let's suppose you choose listening, you click on choose, and then you show the results. You can do that for grammar, vocabulary, and you even have a text analyzer. So you click on show results, and this is going to show you all the learning objectives you are to complete for your program. You can download them. You click on an Excel, and this is what happens. You obtain this beautiful document that tells you all the descriptors that you ought to use. What happens when you start using this? You start working on developing competencies and skills rather than working to complete content. And it's a must. We have to start thinking about this. We have to start thinking about how to create more efficient programs, more accurate programs, better programs, so that we can really prepare learners for the future that lies ahead. It's an uncertain future. Take a look at what happened last year. Nobody was ready. Everybody started running. Everybody went crazy in education. It is taking a huge toll on results. Why? Simply because we were not ready. So it's time to get ready. It's time to be prepared. And it's time to provide our learners with the actual, real, necessary tools for the future that is awaiting for them. Thank you very much. Now, if you've got any questions, please.
All right, so thank you very much. Let's go ahead and check the chat box. Once again, if you have any questions, this is your time to put in there. If you have any comments, also put in there in the chat box, so Mr. Alfieri Avilan can read them for you and answer any questions if you have any. Okay, I'm going to be checking on the YouTube channel. We have a professor there, Marina Majonica, saying this is such valuable information. Who else do we have over here? Yes, here in the chat, we also had a comment from Mary Allegra. Okay, this is a great and up-to-date plenary. I cannot agree more. Let's prepare for the future and let's make the necessary changes, colleagues. Okay. Very good. Okay, we're also going to be posting all the links that you have shared in the chat. We're going to post it in the platform so everybody can access to the resources as well.
Thank you.
To the leaflet that you also share with us, we're also going to put it there. Okay, let me see. We have Jelisa Costa on YouTube saying, Wow, thanks for this valuable information. Oh, Marina Majonica has a question. The last slides you showed, were they a sort of test people can take?
Let me share again the slides.
All right.
Would you mean this? This is the last slides I presented. Perhaps you are referring to the frameworks, perhaps the assessment framework. It's if so, then you can download these framework for free on the website that I just shared with you on the chat box. And these are for you to create and personalize your English program, thinking, of course, on the necessities of the students. I hope I've been of help and I hope I've answered your question.
Okay, yeah, she was certainly referring to the website, so yeah.
Right. This is something that is for free. This is something that has no charge whatsoever. So take advantage, start working with this, browse through it. I'm going to post my email on the chat box. If you've got questions or if you've got concerns about this, feel free to reach out. I'll be glad to assist you in any kind. Beautiful. I'll be expecting your mail.
All right. Very good. So once again, thank you very much for volunteering to carry out this plenary for us at Ventiso. We really value your time and your expertise. And yes, I mean, it has been a wonderful experience, a very long day for most of us. But yeah, it has definitely been a wonderful session today. We have the Daira Cabarcas saying thank you on behalf of DCM Books as well. Yes.
Wonderful. Johannes.
Very good. Yeah.
Yeah, we may have crossed paths sometime.
Yeah.
I have to say I'm very happy to participate and I'm happy to contribute to Ventiso. I've been away for some time now, but I'd love to assist you guys. So I'm here.
All right. All right. So once again, thank you very much. And I hope you had a wonderful day today. Tomorrow is day 2. We are done for today and get some rest. And tomorrow we'll continue with many more interesting sessions and keynote speakers as well. Okay.
Okay. Take care. Be safe. Thank you so much. Enjoy your teaching.
All right. Thank you.